Part 75. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 741. Chapter 741 50 cents. Fan Jiangguo came back from closing the stall at noon when he heard from his wife that Zhang Xiaoxiao had called and asked the couple to go there in the evening. He said that the old lady was at their house now and would not come back for lunch. She would go over and have a meal together in the evening. Fan Jiangguo didn't think much about it. Originally, he would usually set up his stall until 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and sometimes until 1 or 2 o'clock in the middle of the night. However, even if their niece and sister asked them to come over to eat, they had to go there. Otherwise, you won't be able to find any reason. At around 5 o'clock, Fan Jiangguo carried his daughter, Lu Huilai, and his wife, and carried 2 bottles of canned food and a pack of snacks. Lu Huilai was a little nervous and her eyelids kept twitching. Life at home is tense now. Even though they bought 2 bottles of cans and a pack of snacks, the couple was also distressed and panicked. It's ridiculous to think about it. I used to eat spicy food, so I couldn't just pick and choose what I wanted to eat. Now it's better to buy 2 bottles of canned food and a pack of snacks, but I'm too hesitant to spend money on them. Lu Huilai really hates herself a little. I am really a pest. People say that marrying a virtuous wife and marrying a bad wife is a sign of ruin. Look at Fan Jiangguo marrying a troublemaker like himself. If he doesn't have a big family fortune, he will be defeated. Jiangguo, I always feel that there are some bad signs. It's not the eldest sister and the little ones who discovered anything. Fan Jiangguo did not tell his sister and others about this matter, mainly because he was afraid that his sister would have objections to his daughter-in-law's natal family. No matter who I tell this to, they will all think that it was his wife who did something good. But it's already like this. My daughter-in-law's family has severed ties with her. If I blame my daughter-in-law again for this, or I don't want her anymore. This is not forcing this woman to die. Fan Jiangguo is not such a person. To say that he is soft-hearted is indeed soft-hearted. No matter what, this woman is still a person who gave birth to a daughter for herself. I can't force her to die. As a man, no matter how hard or tired you are, you can support yourself. It's okay, don't worry too much, I'm here. The daughter is thin, frail, and well-behaved. She is leaning on her father's arms and looking around curiously. Because her daughter is in poor health, and her mother is also in poor health, the child spends most of the time on the Kong at home with Lu Huilai. I rarely go out, so everything I see outside is very fresh. A mother and father walked over with their child. The little boy was waving the marshmallows he had just bought in his hand and biting his mouth full of them. Dad, the marshmallows are so sweet. You'd better eat less sugar. Too much sugar is bad for your teeth will get bugs. Xiaoju looked at the marshmallow with envy and stretched out her little hand. Sugar, sugar. Fan Jiangguo paused. His daughter had never asked them for anything, and of course she had no chance to do so. Standing in front of a stall selling cotton candy. Boss, how much does a marshmallow cost? Hint-hearted, Fan Jiangguo wants to buy one. 50 cents each, want one. Fan Jiangguo hesitated. If this matter had happened before, even a year ago, I would have taken it out without hesitation. 50 cents is a ball. For Fan Jiangguo, he has enjoyed both blessings and hardships in his life. But when it came to his own daughter, he would actually hesitate to buy a marshmallow. Because of what? Because mother and daughter need money for medical treatment, the 50 cents sometimes comes in handy. The hospital would not be able to allow the mother and daughter to receive medical treatment even if the money was short of 1 penny. Hands trembling, I touched my pocket, but in the end I couldn't take it out. Lu Huilai grabbed his hand. As a wife, she knew best that her husband broke a penny into several petals. For their mother and daughter, the whole family was eating glutinous rice. Even though it looks like a small marshmallow, Their family can't afford it. Having already spent money on cans and snacks today, if we buy marshmallows again, it will make things worse for the family. In order to make money for his family, Fan Jiangguo went out with only one steamed bun or dry biscuit every day. He often did not come back for lunch and was reluctant to spend a penny outside. My mother-in-law goes out to pick up rags all day long, just to save more money for the family. How can you not know what is good and what is good? The child is not sensible, so is she also ignorant? The child's father, forget it. What is the reason for these things? It is not just because of her. The little boy was hugged by his father in disappointment and left the family of 3. The marshmallow vendor could not help but pout. Who are these people? They can't bear to buy marshmallows for their children, they are really poor people. He did not hide his voice at all, for fear that Fan Jiangguo would not be able to hear him. Fan Jiangguo felt bitter. He has encountered too many insults like this recently. Compared with his mother going to the market to pick up rotten vegetable leaves, the insult he received was nothing. A family of 3 came to Fan Qiuying's house. Fan Qiuying saw her younger brother and sister-in-law coming in with their children at the gate of the hospital, and hurriedly greeted them. Jiangguo, Ziyawai is here. Hurry and carry the child into the house. There are only 2 dishes left. We will start dinner soon. You go and eat some watermelon first. There are cut watermelons and washed grapes in the house. Lu Huilai quickly put the child in Fan Jiangguo's arms, rolled up her sleeves and followed Fan Qiuying into the kitchen. Sister, let me help you cook. When she looked at Fan Qiuying before, she was completely unconvinced. In her mind, this eldest sister was taking advantage of her younger brother. Besides, I married Fan Jiangguo, not Fan Qiuying, so this sister would always go back to her parents' house to make the decision. This is what she dislikes the most, but now things have developed to this point. Seeing that her eldest aunt never had a different attitude towards them, she didn't know that Fan Jiangguo hadn't said it before, and thought that her eldest aunt was sincerely doing good for them. Since she married into this family, although her eldest aunt couldn't stand her, she never could. He has never shamed himself in person. In this regard, my eldest aunt is more reasonable than she thought. Xiaohui, you don't need to come in to cook. There are only 2 dishes left. Go in and greet the children quickly. You are not strong. The oil smoke here is so big. What should you do if you choke for a while? Come on, come in quickly. Why are you so polite to the elder sister? Coming to our home feels like being at your own home. Fan Qiuying kicked the person out directly. Lu Huilai looked at the busy eldest sister in the kitchen, her eyes couldn't help but turn red again. In the past, I was too narrow-minded and always felt that others were taking advantage of me in many things. Seeing that Fan Jiangguo was almost obedient to Zhang Xiaoxiao, his niece, and was very kind to his sister and brother-in-law, she felt envious and jealous in her heart. She felt that Fan Qiuying was a huge advantage in their family, and her husband was a big fool. But of course she knew it now. These are real brothers and sisters, they have no biological differences with each other at all, and this eldest sister is already good enough to me. I knew that she was not in good health, but I never came to my aunt's house for dinner and she never touched her. Compared with my mother's family, the people in my mother-in-law's family are so good that they can reach heaven. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 742. Chapter 742 talk about it. Fan Jiangguo and Lu Huilai carried Ziyaju directly into the house. Inside the house, Zhang Xiaoxiao, Zhang Yu, and Grandma were sitting in the house. Zhang Lei and Zhang Xian haven't come back yet. Several people were chatting around the table, and there were a lot of food on the table. Chopped watermelon, washed grapes, and apples. As soon as he saw his uncle, Zhang Xiaoxiao hurriedly got up and walked over, and took Ziyaju into his arms. This child has been weak since he was a child and has not been in good health since he was born. She originally wanted to feed the child some peach juice. But I have never been able to find an opportunity. The main reason is that since my uncle gave birth to a child, he and his wife and children have rarely seen them for a short time. We only see each other twice a year during the New Year and holidays, and I am busy in the hospital, so we cannot get together every time during the New Year and holidays. Not to mention that my uncle was not there when I was taking a rest, and I was not there when my uncle was there, so the two of them couldn't touch each other at all. It seems that this child is already over 1 year old, but he is very thin and small. He only weighs 20 pounds at most. He is very skinny. Comparing with my twin sisters, although I am almost a year younger than those two little sisters, my body bones are almost the same. The two little sisters are so white and fat that they can only catch up with the glutinous rice and steamed buns of the past. Made Zhang Xiaoxiao feel distressed. Look at your Aunt Lu Huilai again. When I met Lu Huilai before, she was very harsh to me, and she never gave her a good look. This aunt was very disgusted with her niece when she came in. I didn't expect that Lu Huilai has changed too much now. The former Lu Huilai, who was pretty and had some flamboyant looks, loved to dress up, and she relied on the husband she married to have the ability to make money. I have never been stingy about food and clothing. After I got married, I bought clothes in different styles. It's not like now. Looking at the shabby outfit, you can tell that this outfit is still the clothes left over from the wedding. The style has long been out of date, and it looks like it has been worn frequently. The clothes are a little faded, and the cuffs and trousers have some frayed edges. He is now so thin that he looks like he could be knocked down by the wind. He is so skinny that his face is green with yellow and yellow with black. It is not good to look at the person's body. And now I saw their whole family. The former arrogant Lu Huilai, who would make irresponsible remarks about everyone she saw, looked a little embarrassed and flattering. Seeing him, he asked in a low voice, "How are you, Xiao Xiao?" An elder who is an aunt actually lowered her body to greet me. This was something that had never happened before. Zhang Xiaoxiao thought about what he heard from his grandma and sighed in his heart. Perhaps the lesson learned this time should make this aunt worry. I didn't interfere in my uncle's marriage at first because I felt that my uncle had stopped following the same path in his previous life and he should be able to live a happy life. Who would have thought that my uncle's marriage was not strictly controlled? In the end, my uncle almost ended up on the same path as in her previous life. Fortunately, Lu Huilai was someone who knew her mistakes and could correct them. Hold Xiaju and sit next to the table. Uncle, Auntie, please sit down quickly. The watermelon is freshly cut. Eat it while it's fresh. If Xiaju is not in good health, I'd better not eat these cold things. I'm afraid she'll have diarrhea soon, so I'll get her some. Drink juice. It's good for children to have some juice. Zhang Xiaoxiao carried the little girl to the next room, found a cup, and then quietly poured some peach juice. The little girl stared curiously at her sister, who was holding her in her arms. The little girl doesn't recognize life, even when it comes to others, but she has met Zhang Xiaoxiao twice before. Every time Zhang Xiaoxiao saw her, he always looked kind and gave her some delicious food. The little girl always remembers this gentle sister. She is very happy to see the sister. She opens her little hands and is not polite. She holds the cup and pours it into her mouth. And after taking a bite, I thought it tasted very good. Hold on to the cup without letting go, and drank almost half of the peach juice in the cup into his stomach. Just finished drinking it and glanced at my sister longingly. Little girl, I have to eat soon, so I can't drink so much juice. Can I give it to you when you come to my sister's house next time? She has measured this amount of juice, peach juice. The little girl's body will gradually become stronger, and it will not be too conspicuous. This is the result of her many years of experiments, and she has been able to control the amount of each peach. The little girl is not suffering from any serious illness. Drinking so much peach juice is actually a waste for the body. But fortunately, when the little girl heard that there would be delicious food soon, she clapped her little hands, hugged her sister's neck obediently, and leaned into her arms. This little girl is very obedient. She is the kind of little girl who won't lose her temper or act arrogant because she doesn't get what she wants. His cuteness makes people feel distressed. Fan Jiuying has already prepared the meal, and the family has finished the meal. Fan Jiangguo looked at the time. It was only around 6 o'clock now. If he could go back early or late at 7 o'clock and still set up a stall for a while, he could still make some money. Smiled and told Fan Jiuying and brother-in-law Zhang honestly. Sister, it's unreasonable to call us back for dinner. We've finished the meal. Is there anything going on? If anything happens, just tell me quickly. If nothing happens, I'll take Mom and the two of them. Go back. I have something else to do tonight. Fan Jiuying gave him a sideways look. Of course I have something to do with you. If you want to go anywhere, you have to stop me if you have anything to do at night. Sit here honestly today. Not only do I have something to say to you, but also Xiao Xiao also has something to tell you. Fan Jiangguo's heart skipped a beat. I just met my mother. When I saw my mother and niece, their expressions were very calm and they didn't say much else. Attitude is no different from usual. He thought it was just a normal eldest sister wanting to invite them over for a meal. But it looks like something is wrong, and this matter is definitely about him. Is it possible that the eldest sister discovered it? He couldn't help but look at his mother for help. Zhang Yu had already helped the old lady carry Xiaju and Lu Huilai to the next room. The courtyard in their house is too big. 2 rooms are specially reserved for the old lady, uncle, and Lu Huilai, just so that they can stay there at night when they come over. They are kept clean and the door is locked on weekdays. As soon as they arrived, Fan Jiuying had already packed up the room in the afternoon. She originally planned to let them stay here for 2 more days. First, let the old lady take a break, and second, have a good talk with Fan Jiangguo. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 743. Chapter 743 Crying Bitterly. Fan Jiangguo sat at the table a little uneasy, mainly because his sister, brother-in-law, and Zhang Xiaoxiao were looking at him with very serious expressions. Under the gazes of these 3 people, he felt that he had no place to hide. Especially my niece, look at her eyes, she seems to be so angry that she hates that iron cannot become steel. Xiao Xiao, don't look at me like that. If you have something to say, you look at me like that. I feel like a criminal. Fan Jiangguo finally couldn't withstand the pressure and spoke. When you were still scared, uncle, I thought you were powerful now. You can do anything by yourself, and you don't need help from your family. How can we be your family members? We are just outsiders. As soon as Fan Jiangguo heard this, he knew that his affair would be exposed. If he can't understand what his niece is saying, he must be a fool. Yes, Jiangguo. Our brother and sister have been in love for so many years, and we have encountered such a big thing, such a serious thing happened at home, and you didn't even tell your eldest sister and brother-in-law. You still treat us as your eldest sister and brother-in-law. I feel chilled in my heart. Of course, the eldest sister had a difficult life back then. When you were working in a department store, you sent 5 yuan to the eldest sister's family every month. At that time, the eldest sister was not polite to you. But what about you? I regard you as my brother, because there is nothing to be polite about with my own brother. We all help each other. If anyone encounters difficulties, others can help. We are all a family. It's good for you. You treat me as your eldest sister now. Fan Jiuying's words were quite serious, and she said them very rudely. Fan Jiangguo knew as soon as he heard this that the eldest sister was very angry and was very angry with him. You can say this. Sister, we are siblings. I can't tell you anything. But what happened this time? I really have no shame to tell you. My wife has gotten into such a big trouble. How can I have the shame to tell you? Talk about this. Fan Jiangguo lowered his head in shame. Your daughter-in-law has caused such a big trouble. You have no face to tell us, but you have never thought about who you hurt in the end by hiding it in such a secretive way? You are not living a good life. Sister knows that, and she feels better. Our mother follows you and goes to the streets all day to pick up rags to support the family. Is this better? Fan Jiuying cried. She felt uncomfortable when she thought of seeing her mother dressed in such a mess today. Although my mother had a difficult life in the countryside, she was still a tidy person. But now, I actually go to the street to pick up broken waves? It's not that she looks down on rag pickers, but she just feels uncomfortable in her heart. She couldn't bear that her old mother went to the street to pick up rags, and her father had already gone. If I can't live a good life in my old age, how can children like them still have the dignity to live? No matter how difficult it is, it cannot be made difficult for the elderly. Uncle, you know how uncomfortable I feel when I saw my grandma on the street today, carrying a snakeskin bag and standing in the garbage dump picking up garbage. We are a family. When our family was in trouble, you didn't even think twice when you reached out to help us. But at this time, the family encountered difficulties and it was time for everyone to help each other, but you didn't say anything and hid it from us. Think about it, how uncomfortable it must be for us to see this in our hearts. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't help but complain. How could she not know who her uncle was? He was a man who was unwilling to drag others down. But things often depend on the situation. My uncle was wrong. He thought he could grit his teeth and get through this difficulty. That was to be worthy of everyone and not to drag everyone down, but he didn't expect that he would actually drag down your grandma. She is so old and has to live a hard life with me. I am really sorry. Our mother. Fan Jiangguo covered his face and started to cry. He could endure no matter how difficult or painful the day was. But after hearing what his sister and niece said today, he realized that he was wrong. It's okay for him to suffer, but why does he involve my mother? I dodge and don't say anything about it just to save my face. Also ask me not to tell my sister and niece. Forcing my mother to live a hard life with him, if he is a truly conscientious son, he should send me to live with his sister. But he knew that if he sent me there, his affairs would be revealed. He was just doing it for himself, and he was too selfish. Fan Jiuying and Zhang Lishi sighed. What can you say? Fan Jiangguo cried out all the grievances, pains, frustrations, and humiliations he had suffered for more than a year through this passage. That is wailing. Crying so hard that the grievances of the past few days poured out of my head. Lu Ziawei sat next door, listening to her husband's cry, tears streaming down her face. She knelt down in front of the old lady with a plop. Mom, it's all my fault. These are all my fault. If it hadn't been for me, Jiangguo wouldn't have ended up like this. Mom, you'd better let us divorce. I'm sorry for Jiangguo. I'm still dragging him down like this. People. The old lady instructed Zhang Yu to help the person up. It's a mistake for an adult like you to make a mistake. Didn't Mom say she was wrong and she should change it? Why should we change it? Why divorce? The child is still so young. You said you are worthy of the child and Jiangguo in divorce. Why did Jiangguo work so hard to make money and take care of you and your children? Not just for the reunion of this family. Where will you go if you get divorced? Your mother-in-law's family all want to peel you off and cramp you. Child, when you marry into our family, you become a member of our family. Although I cannot treat you as my biological daughter. But I try my best to be nice to you. I want you to feel the warmth of this home and make you feel like this is a family. Don't say these words again in the future. If you feel guilty in your heart, just treat Jiangguo and your children well. If the three of you live a good life, then you will be worthy of my mother-in-law. Lu Huilai nodded hard. I probably did a lot of good things in my previous life to accumulate this virtue. Find such an in-law's family. Her husband and mother-in-law were so kind to her. She did such an outrageous thing and her in-law's family didn't kick her out immediately. They were really very kind to her. If she can't be sorry to her husband and children in the future, then she is not a human being. When Xiaju saw her mother crying there, she also held her mouth and crawled over. She even grabbed her mother's clothes with her little hands and climbed up to wipe her mother's tears. Mom, don't cry. Lu Huilai emotionally hugged her daughter tightly, holding her daughter in her arms and bursting into tears. She is contented in this life. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 744. Chapter 744 I borrow. Fan Jiangguo finally finished crying and his tears could no longer flow. Fan Jiuying threw him a wet towel. Hurry up and wipe your face. After crying today, you will also cry out all the grievances you have suffered in this life. Okay, we should also talk about what to do next. Looking at her brother like this, it's strange that Fan Jiuying doesn't feel uncomfortable. Over the past 7 or 8 years, the family's life has been getting better and better. She really never thought that her brother's life would be like this now. Jiangguo, what are you going to do in the future? Is it possible to set up a small stall and sell wontons, tea, eggs and so on for the rest of your life? Zhang Lishi didn't look down on his brother-in-law's stall, but felt that the little money he earned from running a stall could not support his family. I didn't see my mother-in-law going to the streets to pick up rags and rotten vegetable leaves. If setting up a stall can really support themselves, they won't say anything. Everyone has their own way of living, and they have to bear the responsibility for what they do. Everyone knows this truth, but now I see that my brother-in-law's daughter-in-law is in poor health, and her daughter is also sick. Everything costs money. Although the couple can take over their mother-in-law to support them, the shame is not the brother-in-law's face. They thought about giving some money to their brother-in-law, but the daughter was right. People say that relieving emergencies does not help the poor. You can't give money to your brother-in-law all your life. My brother-in-law is also a very ambitious person. If they really go to rescue my brother-in-law, they might actually make themselves sick. Fan Jiangguo sighed, let's do this for now, and wait for more than half a year to see how strong the mother and daughter are. If they can get better, I will save some money and think of a way to prepare for a comeback. Just by showing off. The medical expenses for both mother and daughter are not enough. Fan Jiangguo certainly has his own plans, he is not the kind of person who just takes things as they come. At least I am a person who has done great things and has seen the world. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded. She knew from her previous life that her uncle was an absolutely good person. Otherwise, you can't let your daughter-in-law make such a huge mistake and still work hard to earn money to take care of your daughter-in-law and daughter. In this regard, my uncle is a responsible man. Although he is a man of high moral integrity. Uncle, if you are planning to make a comeback, what kind of business are you going to do? It seems to me that you have a goal. If you have any, you will come out and talk about it. Everyone is trying to figure out a way for each other. Come up with an idea, maybe there is a better way. Fan Jiangguo glanced at Zhang Xiaoxiao. He has really admired this niece for so many years. This child has good vision, and has so-called foresight in doing things. I have a friend who is engaged in fruit wholesale. I heard that it is very cheap to import fruit from the south near Vietnam and sell it here. The farmers there can't sell the fruit and often the fruit is rotten to the ground. Things that cost a few cents per kilogram can be wholesaled by us and sold for a few cents. The profit is extremely high. You can earn tens of thousands of dollars in one trip, but fruit is also risky. After all, it's far away from us. If a train comes down, it will take at least 3 days to reach us. Winter is a little better on the road, but I'm afraid that in summer all the fruits will rot on the road. In addition to setting up the stall, Fan Jiangguo also goes to help his friends from time to time. It's also to gain some experience for myself. But now he really doesn't have the ability to do this, because the cost of traveling for this fruit alone is tens of thousands of yuan. How can I save this money with my own hands? I have to send it to the hospital even if I finally earn any money. Zhang Xiaoxiao agreed upon hearing this. After all, the fruit over there is indeed cheap, and it is indeed a good thing to plow up the fruit. Uncle, don't open your stall for the time being. We will lend you the first sum of money to use as capital, and you can go and make a comeback. I believe you can repay me after doing it twice. Don't say it's rejection, we are all a family, uncle, you are our relative in our hearts. Rena Hospital has long been on the right track, and now its monthly profits are booming. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding, despite their young age, are really rich in money. Although you invested a lot in the early stage, you will get a lot of money in the later stage. Although Zhang Xiaoxiao plans to save the money, a large part of it will be returned to Mr. Wu in the future. He cannot let the Wu family give the money to him for no reason. However, this process cannot be accomplished in 1 or 2 years. Helping my uncle help him get back on his feet first, there should be no problem in making a comeback. Fan Jiangguo blushed. He was ashamed. At his age, a man in his 30s actually asked his niece to borrow money. He really couldn't save his face, and his niece had indeed helped him a lot. I used to come up with ideas and come up with solutions. It's not his niece and eldest sister's fault that he has gotten to this point now. At this time, his family is still thinking of ways to help him. He really feels guilty. Fan Jiangguo now has a wife and a daughter, but his life has reached this point. Seeing that his uncle was silent, Zhang Xiaoxiao understood his uncle's mood. Jiangguo Xiaoxiao, you're right, we are a family. When your sister and I were having such a hard time, you gave us money every month. We never refused your kindness at that time. At this time, when you encounter difficulties, we should all lend our hands. It would be pointless for you to argue with us today. To be honest, Xiaoxiao and the others spent your money growing up when they were young. Zhang Lishi knew that his brother-in-law couldn't be ashamed. Since he became the director of a department store, his life has been going smoothly, not to mention the store he opened, and he earns a lot of money. Besides, he doesn't have to be angry as his own boss. None of them expected that life would be like this now. He could imagine how uncomfortable his brother-in-law, a grown man, must feel and how worried his face must be at this moment. Let alone his brother-in-law, it is himself. If one day he is really so poor that he needs to borrow money from his juniors. This feeling is really unreasonable. The problem is that the two of them don't have much money. Even if they live in a big house in a courtyard, it is only thanks to Zhang Xiaoxiao. Without Zhang Xiaoxiao's support, they would not be able to buy this house with the little money they have. Even though they don't have to worry about their children, and they are all filial and send them money every month, the problem is that they can't save much money. The couple does not exploit their children's money. Every month the children do not allow them to give more, so they give each other 20 yuan, and they do not accept any more. So this big thing has to be done by Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others. Fan Jiangguo nodded. Sister-in-law, brother-in-law, Xiaoxiao, stop talking. I know you are doing this for my own good. I will lend you the money. Xiaoxiao, I will pay you back 10 times the amount when your uncle makes a comeback. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled. What does she need so much money for? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 745. Chapter 745 Explanation. A week later. Fan Jiangguo took Lu Huilai, his daughter, and his mother back to their small courtyard. Although their family is small, this is their home after all. Didn't the ancients all say that a golden nest or a silver nest is not as good as your own doghouse? Fan Jiangguo felt relieved when he returned home. It's not that his sister's husband is not nice to him, but there is still pressure when living there. Lu Huilai looked at her husband with some anxiety. This week, my husband seemed like a different person at my eldest sister's house. In the past, when I was doing business for a day, I couldn't even speak a word when I came back. Even when I was busy preparing materials at home, I wouldn't say a word to myself, and I didn't even have a smile on my face. But in the past 2 days, the smile on my husband's face has become more and more frequent, and he has talked more and more. Sometimes he and his sister and brother-in-law can sit in the yard for an entire afternoon, drinking tea, playing chess, and talking. And my husband's complexion is getting better day by day. Gradually it became rosy, and her speaking voice became more and more confident. The waist that had become a little rickety some time ago has now begun to become straighter, and looks like the Fan Jiangguo he met before getting married. The past 2 days have probably opened up the conversation, and everyone's hearts have opened up. She feels that her body and bones are getting stronger day by day, especially the child in her arms. In the past, she and her daughter would get sick every 3 to 5 days, especially her daughter who would have a fever every 3 to 5 days. However, after staying here for a week recently, she didn't have any problems at all. She was also comforted in her heart. It was probably because people's heart knots were opened, their mood became better, and their bodies also became stronger. I can only hope that my body and bones are stronger so that Fan Jiangguo will not be dragged down. Whoever marries a daughter-in-law does so in order to have a woman who will share the joys and sorrows with him. It's not about marrying an ancestor. When he saw Fan Jiangguo come back and take out the clothes from the cabinet and pack a bag, he couldn't help but feel his heart tightening. "Dad, where are you going?" Lu Huilai was uneasy. She had no position to ask what Fan Jiangguo wanted to do. But if Fan Jiangguo left this family, how could she support the family? Fan Jiangguo put the packed bag aside, then took out a passbook from his arms and placed it in front of Lu Huilai. There is a total of 100,000 yuan in this passbook. This time this is the money Xiao Xiao lent me. I am going to go to the south to wholesale fruit. After a while I will contact Xiao Zhang and the others. They all drive trucks. Find the last batch of our own acquaintances. It depends on whether this batch of goods can be safely sent back, whether our family can make a comeback, whether it can allow you and your daughter to live a good life, and whether my mother can take care of herself at home and take care of herself in her old age. I know your body is still very weak, but there is really no other way. I have to go. The house will be left to you and your mother. No matter what happens, you and your mother will discuss it, take good care of the children, and wait for me to come back safely. This is 500 yuan. Enough for your daily life. Lu Huilai hurriedly pushed back the 500 yuan. Don't worry, you go out to do business. Mom and I are at home, and we will definitely take good care of Xiaju. Give this money to your mother. Let her take as much as you want, so you can rest assured. Put it in my hand, and I won't even worry about it. I don't feel confident myself, how can I gain your trust? You put your money in my hands before, and I tricked our family into this situation. From now on, I won't care about our family's money. Lu Huilai said this not out of anger at all, but indeed from the bottom of her heart. Even she herself felt a little frightened when she came into contact with money. Fan Jiangguo took Lu Huilai's hand and said, "Daughter-in-law, what happened in the past is in the past, no matter how big your mistakes were in the past. We have to look forward. The two of us will have to live together for a lifetime, and it will still be decades. Just because of this, this home cannot be withheld from you. Mom is old and we can't let her take care of the family all the time. You also have to have confidence in yourself. People say that a mother is strong. I believe that for the sake of our daughter, you will think carefully and will not do anything rashly. The last time we suffered a loss was due to greed. As long as we do what we can in a down-to-earth manner from now on, don't expect pie-in-the-sky things. I believe we can live a good life. Lu Huilai burst into tears. It had been so long since this incident happened, and her husband had never scolded her, let alone hit her. But he didn't say anything to her. At this moment, her husband suddenly made her feel as solid and reliable as a mountain. His eyes were blind before. How could she think that her husband didn't feel sorry for her? It was right that the husband didn't do that to his natal family in the first place. If you didn't see what his mother's family did later, then it was not done by human beings. Father, please believe me. I will live a down-to-earth life from now on and never do this kind of thing again. I will never be greedy and think about money again. From now on, I will serve you, our daughter, and my mother like a cow. I don't want to worry about anything else. Lu Huilai's tears made Fan Jiangguo sigh. He held his wife tightly in his arms and patted her back gently. As things develop to this day, no one is right or wrong. In fact, both people are wrong. Because I was too indulgent towards my daughter-in-law, I raised my daughter-in-law with a big heart. Only then did Fang Ziyuwei have an opportunity. That's why people have to examine themselves, even though 80% of the fault lies with their daughter-in-law. But you have to think about it, those 20% are also unforgivable mistakes. If you don't correct yourself, you will encounter the same thing again in the future. Mrs. Fan was holding her granddaughter and playing games with her in the yard. Little Xiaoju was squatting in the yard digging soil with a shovel. Hearing the voices of her son and daughter-in-law in the room, the old lady smiled with satisfaction. The family and everything are fine, the storm has finally passed, and it seems that my son can stand up again. I can't help but be grateful to my daughter and son-in-law, and even more grateful to my granddaughter. Xiao Xiao, this child, has been close to me since he was a child, and he is reluctant to suffer even a little bit of pain. Xiao Xiao is really heartbroken about this matter today. Fan Jiangguo found a few of his buddies who had a close relationship that night. These buddies were all in the transportation business. In the past, he had often troubled these people to help him pull goods. This time, if you want to do fruit wholesale business, you naturally have to support a few buddies. Xiaozhang specially took a few people with him on the road. They are all former comrades in the army, so their friendship with others is extraordinary. In addition, these people are agile and have good skills. They can run long distances safer than others. They are not afraid if they encounter some car gangsters or road bullies on the road. They had some food and drink prepared in the car, and they drove there directly. Fan Jiangguo was not stingy with the money, otherwise it would have been quite expensive to rent a car from the local area. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 746. Chapter 746 Wholesale. Lu Huilai was sitting on the kong, sewing clothes for her daughter. The little guy sat on one side of the kong and played there. Mrs. Fan put on this pair of good quality short-sleeved shirts and looked at herself in the mirror. Ziyuwei, your craftsmanship is really good. Look at the clothes you made. The stitching is just as good as the ready-made clothes in the department store. I saw that the ready-made clothes in the department store cost 35 yuan a piece. If you have that time, you can do it for yourself. Make 2 outfits. Look at the clothes you wore the year you got married, they don't even look fashionable. The daughter-in-law has been helping her to get this dress yesterday, and this morning she rushed it out and asked her to put it on and try it on. If there is something inappropriate, Lu Huilai is ready to change it for the old lady. Mom, I'll make them for you and Xiaju first. Don't worry about the clothes. Jiangguo will make a lot of money later. But I can wear the clothes I wear now. Besides, I'm weak and don't go out much. I don't need to go out to buy them. Things like dishes are still your responsibility. You should wear some new clothes when you go out and let them see it, so that they don't look down on Jiangguo. She had been hearing rumors from her neighbors for more than a year. At first, the neighbors always thought that her family was quite capable. I get along well with them, but I always fawn over them. Who would have thought that later I would see an old lady picking up rotten leaves in the vegetable market and picking up rags outside? Immediately, various rumors started to spread among the neighbors, either that Fan Jiangguo had committed a crime and his property was confiscated, or that the couple had misappropriated state property, so the store was taken back and not given to them. Anyway, everything is there. Old MRS Fan nodded. Okay, I will go out wearing this dress and let them take a look. This is my daughter-in-law who is filial to them. Who has such a filial daughter-in-law like me? Mom, please don't make fun of me. Lu Huilai smiled. She now treats her mother-in-law as her own mother. Jiangguo has been away for almost 10 days, and it's time to come back. There is no news at all. It makes me feel anxious all day long. The old lady sat in front of her granddaughter and watched her granddaughter playing with building blocks alone. When Jiangguo left, he said he would be back in 10 days at most. Today is the 10th day. I guess they should have arrived by then. Lu Huilai was also anxious. Her husband had been out for such a long time, but she had heard that long-distance transport routes were the most likely to encounter car thieves and road bullies, once something happened. If you are robbed, you have to steal the goods. Although the country is cracking down, some people in remote areas are too courageous to resist. Fan Jiangguo and the others arrived at West Market 7 days ago. There is a port across from the country of Yu. When they arrived here, they applied for a temporary passport, and then went directly to the country of Yu from here. Of course, he contacted his local comrades on the day he arrived. The comrades introduced him to a guide who specialized in fruit business and could help them contact the farmers below, eliminating the need for second-hand traders in the middle to peel the fruit. Fan Jiangguo visited a local orchard, not to mention that the quality is very good. The bananas, oranges, mangoes, and other things here are in short supply in their big cities. But they are everywhere here, and they are very cheap, like this banana. It only costs 5 cents a pound to cut it directly from the banana tree. Except for the difficulty in transportation and safekeeping, there are no problems in other aspects. But fortunately, the people he was looking for were quite experienced people, and the orchardists below did not dare to fool them. The bananas they picked were all green bananas. After being loaded into the truck, they would be on the road for 3 to 5 days before they were fully ripened at the local location. Basically, there will be very little loss on the road, and they also have special storage methods for mangoes and oranges. Generally speaking, things are quite cheap. As long as they can be transported back to Kyoto, the business will definitely double. Their trip included 8 large trucks, all of which were fully loaded. After being delayed here and there for a few days, 8 days had passed by the time they returned. They declined the hospitality of local comrades in arms. They loaded up the goods and returned overnight, mainly because they were afraid of any risks on the way. Fan Jiangguo kept his spirits up all the way, and had to be more careful on the way back. After all, they had an empty car when they went there, and the road tyrants would not intercept an empty car, so it would be useless to rob them. But it was different when I went back. My car was full of goods. Luckily, there was no danger along the way. After driving for almost 2 days, they had arrived. 8 cars rushed into Kyoto in a hurry. Fan Jiangguo didn't even have time to go home. The main thing was that the cars were only carrying popular fruits, and the weather was hot now. Although it is much cooler in the north than in the south, the temperature does not wait for anyone. He did not have the time to go back and report the news first. I drove directly to the fruit wholesale market. Fortunately, he also recognized the leader of the fruit wholesale market. Of course, in previous years, he would wholesale things from here and sell them back home, but this time he came as a wholesaler. This wholesale market is the same for everyone. Large trucks pay a certain fee to enter the market. It's about 50 a day. You can sell out and withdraw people within a few days. Fan Jiangguo was also lucky. On the first day he arrived at the wholesale market, people knew that there were so many fresh fruits, and many wholesale traders came directly to pick up the goods. Fan Jiangguo has already been in the market for a long time. Since he wants to do this business, he will definitely not fight a battle that he is not sure about. These second-hand dealers put their hands together and shared the capital of 100,000 yuan for the strip, and could earn up to 50,000 yuan. But if I had to work harder for 2 more days, I would go wholesale by myself. This price is different. This price can at least be doubled. You can earn 150,000 yuan this time. After all, others are different from him. No one pulls them back from such a far away place. They usually pull fruits from neighboring provinces. The banana and mango dishes he sells are not available in this place. Several buddies each guard the car. Not to mention that there are quite a lot of people coming to wholesale, so we just batch it out. They are more tired from wholesale fruit here than from transportation. At least 2 people can take a break while doing transportation. But now they are busy wholesale fruits during the day, and when it gets dark at night, they have to be busy pounding all these fruits in the car. If they don't put them away, the rotten fruits will easily spoil the fresh ones. It took 3 days of tossing around like this before this batch of fruits was completely sold. But the old lady at home and Lu Huilai didn't know it, and they were already feeling worried at home. It has been 14 days since I looked at them, and I haven't seen their shadow yet. The 2 women at home have been anxious for a long time, but they know it is useless to be anxious. The old lady went to find Fan Jiuying, but Fan Jiuying and the others couldn't do anything. It's so far away and it doesn't mean that you can't reach me by phone if you want to. But fortunately, Zhang Xiaoxiao was smart and asked his father to go to the fruit market and go to the major fruit wholesale markets. He would know if he could see his uncle. According to time, they should also come back. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 747. Chapter 747 Stand Up. This is not the time when Zhang Lishi came back with a dark face, followed by his brother-in-law. Fan Jiangguo had just scolded his brother-in-law for a long time. He also knew that he was a little reckless and he should have sent someone to notify his family no matter what, but he was really tired these days. I forget a lot of things when I am busy. I didn't see it. I was there to apologize to my brother-in-law along the way. Mrs. Fan and Lu Huilai both shed tears when they saw Fan Jiangguo, mainly because Fan Jiangguo looked really miserable now. The clothes are sloppy and have not been washed for who knows how many days. They are like tattered rags. His face is covered with beard. He must have been awake for a long time. There are red bloodshot eyes under his eyes. The whole person looked haggard, especially when approaching people. The whole person exuded a sour smell, which is the smell that occurs if you don't take a bath for a long time. Even though we haven't seen each other for only half a month, we have lost a lot of weight. Auntie saw her mother and daughter-in-law crying there, and Fan Jiangguo hurriedly bowed there. Mom, I am not back well. Please don't cry. You are crying like this. My son should feel sorry for you and make you worry all the time. Daughter-in-law, look, I'm not doing well, why are you crying? As a result, MRS Fan went up and gave her son a hard squeeze. Fan Jiangguo is covering the soft flesh on his arm, which is what his mother would do. When he was a child, he would hit himself with broomsticks. As I grew older, I couldn't pick the lump with a broom, so I used my fingernails to pick it. As soon as the pain on this side stopped, the daughter-in-law over there came over and gave him another blow on the other arm. Ouch, he was attacked from both sides, and Fan Jiangguo grimaced in pain immediately. I'm guilty, I'm wrong. Looking at my mother and daughter-in-law's eyes turning red from crying, he knew that he was really wrong. No matter what, I should inform my family, knowing that the two of them are thinking about me and may not be able to sleep at home day and night. You said that you are such an adult, and you said that you want me to worry about you. Do you know that your wife has been unable to sleep at night since the 10th day? As soon as there is any movement outside, she gets up immediately and takes a look. Aren't you coming back? Look at how much weight I have lost over the past few days. I'm really afraid that her body won't be able to bear it. Fan Jiangguo hugged his mother and daughter-in-law tightly. Mom. Daughter-in-law, I promise. I promise there will never be a next time. I will never let you worry so much next time. This time, the fruit really didn't wait for anyone. I was afraid that the fruit would get spoiled on the road, so I went straight to it as soon as the car came back. Wholesale market. Lu Huilai wiped away her tears. Dad, did your trip go well? Did nothing happen on the way? Seeing my husband become so tired, I felt sad. I knew it was for this family, but I also knew that if it weren't for her and the children, my husband wouldn't be as tired as a dog. Nothing happened, everything went well, and all the fruits we brought back in this trip were sold. But I left 2 baskets for you. Xiaozhang and the others will deliver them in a moment. Fan Jiangguo finally felt proud. The feeling of making money is really great. Old MRS Fan slapped Fan Jiangguo the back several times, choked with sobs and unable to speak. More than a year of hard life has finally come to an end. The old lady is not used to living a hard life, but she is afraid that her son will suffer and work hard. How could the old lady not know what kind of life her son has been having these past year or so? The most important thing is that my son's hair has turned gray. You are obviously just in your early 30s, but look at the gray on your temples. I am very worried about my granddaughter and daughter-in-law. Now it's finally time to see the moon and the clouds clear. The old lady is happy. Fan Jiangguo hugged his mother tightly. People of this era are generally people who keep their emotions introverted and never show it to others. But now he was really excited and couldn't help but hug his mother tightly. He always remembered those days when his mother was picking up rotten leaves in the vegetable market. That rickety back and staggering steps, carefully giving others a smile, attracted all kinds of disgust from others. The sadness in my heart. Although no one has ever complained about himself, and he knows that he cannot be blamed for what happened at the beginning, he still can't help but think that his father's death was because of him, and he vowed to take good care of his mother in the future. Let the mother live a good retirement life. Everything was fine at first, but who knew that in the end the son would be a drag on my mother? Mom, my son is standing up again. The old lady patted her son, who had never been so close to her since he became an adult. Today, the son was like the child when he was a child, hugging his mother tightly, and her heart was made soft by her son. Good, after the founding of the People's Republic of China, our lives will get better and better, Mom. I'm glad that you and your wife will live a good life in the future. The whole family was very happy because of this incident. Zhang Lishi told Zhang Lei to buy some good wine and food, and their family would have a good celebration. My brother-in-law finally got up again. Fan Jiuying hurriedly called Zhang Xiaoxiao and her sisters to ask them to come back so they could all get together. In fact, the children live with them. In order to help Zhang Xiaoxiao take care of the children, the couple specially moved to live in the courtyard. The bungalow over there was left to Zhang Yu. Zhang Xian's new tailor shop was also opened at the entrance of the nearby commercial street, so Zhang Xian also moved directly to his parents' courtyard with his two children. Except for not being able to contact Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding, the two sisters were very happy to know about their uncle's comeback and planned to celebrate their uncle when he came back. Zhang Xian arranged for the workers in the tailor shop. As soon as he went out, he happened to meet Qin Dazhuang. Zhang Xian, today is Friday. I am going to pick up the children to live with me for 2 days. I will send them back to you on Sunday night. I promise not to delay their studies. Qin Dazhuang has stopped selling pancakes and fruits at a stall a long time ago. After saving money for several years, Qin Dazhuang not only bought his own house, but also rented a storefront and now opens a restaurant. It is said that business is doing well. Of course, Qin Dazhuang opened a hot pot restaurant, because he went to Sichuan province to learn this for a long time. This suggestion came about when Qin Dazhuang came up with this idea once when he met Zhang Xiaoxiao when he was sending his two daughters back to his mother-in-law's house. His sister-in-law gave him some suggestions and talked to him for a few words. The most important thing is that Qin Dazhuang feels that he cannot set up a stall and sell pancakes like this for the rest of his life. Even though he has bought a new house, he can still support his two children. But he hopes to get back together with his ex-wife. Then he will do better and be more like a man who can protect the three of them, mother and daughter. I support my wife by selling pancakes, and my daughter-in-law earns much more money than I do. That's why he listened to his sister-in-law's words without hesitation, but he didn't expect that he actually succeeded. The business of the hot pot restaurant was very good. Qin Dazhuang now not only bought a car. Moreover, I also bought a house next to my old mother-in-law. He definitely didn't have the means to buy a courtyard house, but he bought a small second-floor building there, like a small villa. Taking this opportunity, from time to time, he can go to the mother-in-law and the old Zhang people from time to time, and strive for a better performance. I hope that the old Zhang Gren and the mother-in-law can say 2 good words in front of their daughter-in-law. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 748. Chapter 748, Enough is enough. Mom, brother-in-law, hurry up and sit down and eat first. You guys have come all the way here and you must not have had dinner. Let's eat and drink first before we talk. Qin Dazhuang welcomed them into the office. In addition to the very large boss's desk, half of the office was a reception room. There is a set of leather sofas and elegant coffee tables in the living room. Mother of Qin and brother-in-law Qin Dao were like Grandma Lu entering the Grand View Garden, looking at everything with envy in their eyes. After a while, Manager Zhang brought in food for the three of them. They are a hot pot restaurant, so it is definitely inconvenient to make rice and stir-fry vegetables. But it's easier to cook some noodles or something. Materials are all readily available. 3 large bowls of steaming beef noodles were served. The three of them wolfed down the food. Qin Dazhuang asked someone to clear away the dishes. Poured tea for Qin's mother and eldest sister's husband in person. Mom, sister, it's so far away, why didn't you say anything before you came? Otherwise, I would have someone pick you up at the station, and you wouldn't have to pay so much for a taxi from there. Qin Dazhuang is sincerely doing it for their own good. Mother of Qin is still not at ease with the current Qin Dazhuang. Who knows what he is like inside? What kind of person Qin Dazhuang is? As a mother, it's not like she doesn't know that when she was dying in the hospital, this white-eyed wolf that I raised actually knocked my daughter unconscious and took away the money. Because of that incident, her son-in-law came all the way to deliver the money, and because of this, her son-in-law criticized her quite a bit. How dare I ask you to pick me up? My old lady didn't die in the hospital because of your son. An apologetic smile appeared on Qin Dazhuang's face. As expected, his mother's personality was the same as before. In all these years, this mother has never looked down upon him since she was a child. Everything she said she did badly was because she was like her mother. Dazwang, you are now prosperous. Qin Dao felt a little bitter in his mouth. What his younger brother did was not a human thing. But if we really talk about it, this younger brother has never wronged her. Growing up, her mother always favored her. Although her younger brother is a boy, he always sticks to her when the family has good food and clothing. Her parents also treat her best in their eyes, and they often say that her younger brother is a boy and that she should take care of her sister, who is a girl. She didn't understand it when she was little, and she was very proud of it. Compared with other families' preference for sons over daughters, their family is completely different. When she grew up, her mother let her know that she had brought her younger brother. In this way, she understood why she could enjoy these things, but she didn't feel there was anything wrong with her. In their minds, Qin Dao, like his parents, feels that raising his younger brother is what he should do for their family. In those years, my mother took money from her brother's house and spent it on herself, and she felt comfortable spending it. It seems like that, and there's nothing wrong with it. Since his parents raised him, shouldn't Qin Dazwang repay him in return? But it wasn't until his brother turned out to be a that Qin Dao found out. No one is made of clay. The younger brother who seems to have been squashed and rounded by his mother actually has a very dark side. He really drives people to a certain level, and the younger brother may be able to do anything. Now when they have given up on this brother and no longer expect this man, suddenly, this man became different before their eyes. Whether it was the honest brother who was always bullied by others, or the later brother who was so vicious that he refused to recognize any of his relatives, there was no way he could overlap with the Qin Dazwang in front of him. Mom, eldest sister, what's the point of being prosperous? It's just barely enough to make ends meet. You guys will stay here for 2 more days this time. Sister, is there something going on at home? Qin Dazwang is not the same Qin Dazwang he used to be. Just by looking at his mother's aggressive look, including the embarrassment on the faces of his eldest sister and brother-in-law, he can guess that if something big hadn't happened at home, his mother would have rushed to find her own. For so many years, I have placed a small stall here. When I have no religion, I have never seen my adoptive mother find it. At that time, Baba could not figure out the relationship with him. After so many years, it is impossible for him to still be the honest Qin Dazwang. The more he saw, the more he understood that his adoptive mother just wanted to squeeze the last profit from him. Since he asked this, of course he had made up his mind and wanted to help his eldest sister and brother-in-law. No matter how mean his adoptive mother was, she had never abused him in any other way over the years, except for her harsh words and endless requests for money. At least she had raised him well and given him a chance to start a family. Even biological children are biased, let alone a child who was brought back. Just because he was raised by others, he didn't want his adoptive mother and eldest sister to be left alone when they encountered difficulties. Of course, the scope of this help is limited. He will never let his adoptive mother have her desires like before. Dazwang. It's actually quite shameless for the eldest sister to come to you. When you went back, the eldest sister told you that we would sever our relationship. Qin Dao still wants to be ashamed. After all, no one can really tell what is right or wrong about this matter, but Qin Dazwang does not owe him anything. Don't say these words there, Dao, you are just too kind. Qin Dazwang, since you already know that you are the child I brought back, you should know that we have raised you up over the years and have not treated you badly. In any case, we have raised you up, found you a stable job, and married you a daughter-in-law and started a family at home. What you should do is that we, the old couple, have never treated you badly. Of course, I can't help what you think. But now your eldest sister is in trouble. Your eldest sister's child has liver disease. The doctor said that surgery will cost 10,000 yuan. I know how much you blame me in your heart, but I have to say this even if you blame me. Prepare 20,000 yuan for your eldest sister. Qin's mother couldn't bear to embarrass her daughter. She didn't know what her daughter was thinking, so she just couldn't hide her face. She has been a vicious mother for so many years and doesn't care to do one more thing. 20,000 yuan, I guess I'm in a bit of trouble here, otherwise I'll prepare the 10,000 yuan for the surgery for you first. Other eldest sisters and brothers-in-law, you can also think of something at home. Of course, Qin Dazhuang knew that his mother had 20,000 yuan, so he expected that he would not only pay for the surgery, but also pay for all other hospital expenses, and even leave some money for his eldest sister's family. In the past, he might not have said anything and just agreed. But now that he has experienced so many things, he knows in his heart that he can no longer promise everything with just one mouth as he did before. People are afraid of feeding their hearts more and more, so even if they want to help others, they have to stop it in moderation. He didn't mean to make things difficult for the eldest sister, he just felt that they had to make this matter difficult for them to remember their kindness. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 749. Chapter 749. Raising children is not an easy job. Zhang Xian was helpless. She was not a fool and could not see what Qin Dazhuang was thinking. Not to mention, Qin Dazhuang has been completely different from before in recent years. Although Qin Dazhuang did not gamble in the past, he was not a responsible man. He was the kind of person who took things easy and lived a stable life. At best, he was honest and down to earth, but at worst, he was unmotivated. But Zhang Xian is different. After starting a business, her vision and mind are different. What she sees will make people have different requirements for their future life. If it were still the same Qin Dazhuang, he would never have fallen into Zhang Xian's eyes, but he didn't expect that Qin Dazhuang would also make rapid progress. Qin Dazhuang's current changes are indeed surprising. Not today, my mother asked us to take the children back for dinner. My uncle is back, so we can all get together next week. Zhang Xian knew that Qin Dazhuang looked forward to the day when he could take his daughters out every week, and she did not want Qin Dazhuang to be disappointed. After all, he was the father of the children, and she had never thought of letting the children hate this father. She couldn't help but feel complicated. Qin Dazhuang's changes were really confusing. Divorce was inevitable at first, but now Qin Dazhuang is also very surprising. Not only does he no longer gamble or hit others, he has returned to the Qin Dazhuang he was before, and he is even better than before. Patient, gentle and tolerant, and responsible. The same thing is the ability to do many things. Zhang Xian didn't know what she wanted. Uncle is back. Okay, then you take the kids back to get together with your family. It's okay. I'll pick them up next week. You wait first while I go get the things in the car and buy them for the kids. Some stationery and clothes. I also bought some nutritional supplements for my mother, aunts and uncles. I originally said that I would bring them back after they left. Since they won't go over, I'll hand it over to you directly. Qin Dazhuang ran out in a hurry. After a while, big and small bags came over carrying 2 big bags of things. One bag was for stationery, snacks, and clothes for the children. The other package contains nutritional supplements. Zhang Xian complained, "Why do you buy these things for them again? You buy these 2 children clothes every week and they can't wear them at all. It's the time when they are growing. They grow taller in a few months. You bought so much, there are too many clothes, and many new ones are put away without even having time to wear them. Qin Dazhuang quickly spoiled his two daughters. It's because the children grow up so fast that I have to buy them more clothes. I know that I will definitely not spend money like this next time. Qin Dazhuang also knew that he doted on his two daughters to the heavens. But he had no choice. When he saw those clothes and beautiful stationery, he couldn't help but think of his two daughters, and he couldn't help but buy them for them. Every time it was shopping, others were mothers buying clothes for their daughters, and as a father, he was the only thing he could do for his children. The children are getting older now, and you have to pay attention to your methods. Buying so many things, the two children were spoiled. Many things began to be less and less cherished. When they went to school, they showed off their stationery to teachers and classmates. Well, how nice are their clothes? They don't take their studies seriously and always compete with others for food and clothing. If this continues, the two children will really be taught something wrong. I am also doing it for their own good. You have to think more about how to teach them. Don't just want to pamper them blindly. If you spoil them like this when they grow up, they will develop the habit of being high-minded and low-handed. In the future, there will be big problems in getting along with others when you go out. Besides, we are just an ordinary family, and you have to teach your children to be frugal. You forgot that when my grandpa and grandma got into trouble, it was because of my uncle's lavish spending. The trouble is brought about because the family is rich. If you think about it, if it is really for their own good, you should teach them to be low-key. Zhang Xian didn't say these words, and she felt unhappy. The main reason was that her two daughters had changed too much. The teacher has communicated with himself that the two children are not as hard-working as before in terms of study, and they often compete with their classmates for food and clothing. If this continues, the two children will really make detours. Qin Dazhuang was full of regret. After hearing this, he sincerely admitted his mistake. It's my fault. I didn't think about how to do this. I just thought that the children were not here with me, so I should love them more. But I didn't think about anything else. Don't worry, I know what to do in the future. Zhang Xian softened her tone a lot when she saw that Qin Dazhuang could listen. Okay, go back quickly. I'll pick them up from school in a while and head over there directly. Zhang Xian took the keys and got into the car. Last year she bought a Xiaoli. Sometimes it is more convenient to deliver goods to customers' doors. This car is more convenient. Qin Dazhuang watched Zhang Xian leave and stood at the car door and sighed. He didn't think about anything well. It looked like he had messed up even educating his children. If they continue to toss like this, these two children will probably grow up to be arrogant young ladies. The question is what kind of family they are. Although the couple is rich now, no matter how rich they are still ordinary people and cannot raise their children. Be like that. They are still young now, so of course it doesn't matter to them, but when they grow up in the future, whether they get along with others or get married, they marry into their mother-in-law's family. Is it possible for the whole family to pamper you like a rich lady? That is definitely impossible. Getting along with others cannot be measured solely in terms of money. Qin Dazhuang has experienced many things and has long been able to see through them. The most important thing about a person is his or her character, which cannot be measured by money. If the future son-in-law is interested in daughters and their natal family's money, then I'm afraid their character is not very good. If money is not important, but character and character are important, then the two daughters must be educated well. No matter from what point of view, character should be the most important thing in a daughter's family. Drove back to the hot pot restaurant. The dinner was not confiscated yet, so he originally thought that when his daughter came back, they could have dinner here, and then he would take the children home and help them with their homework while chatting with them about the day. He was going to take the children to the amusement park tomorrow, so he told the store manager that he would not come for the past 2 days. But I had nowhere to go for a while, so of course I went back to the store. As soon as I entered the store, I saw the manager running over in a panic. Xiaozhang, why are you so nervous? Did something happen in the store? Looking at Xiaozhang's appearance, something must have happened. Xiaozhang whispered, Boss, an old lady and a woman came just now. I must say it's your mother and your eldest sister. They were making trouble at the door and insisted on seeing you. I just asked someone to go to your house to find you, but you were not at home. I don't know what to do either. Because the old lady insisted on me taking 200 yuan from the counter, saying that it came from the car they hired. It's not that I disagreed. The two people were making a fuss there. Qin Dazhuang's heart skipped a beat. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 750. Chapter 750. The adoptive mother arrives. Qin Dazhuang walked in, and sure enough, the harsh and sharp voice was his mother Qin. Qin Dao supported Qin's mother, accompanied by his brother-in-law Li Qiuashan. The moment the three of them saw Qin Dazhuang, their eyes shone with joy. Qin's mother rushed forward, hugged Qin Dazhuang, reached out and patted Qin Dazhuang's back, crying bitterly. Dazhuang, how could you do this? How could you leave your mother alone? The onlookers eating around could not help but up their ears for gossip. Mom, go in, go to the office inside, don't disturb others eating here. Xiaozhang paid for the taxi outside with 200 yuan, and then helped my mother, my sister, and brother-in-law Zhang Luo give some food to come to the office. Yu Qingyuli did something wrong in the beginning and hurt Qin's mother's heart, which made Qin's mother completely abandon her son in the end. Who dared to be with him at that time? I knocked out my sister and robbed my mother of her last money, even though my mother was in the hospital. From any point of view, his mother was not sorry for him. He actually went back once, but after returning, his sister refused to let him see his mother. She made it clear to him that he was actually the child brought by his mother, not her biological son at all. Even though Qin's mother was counting on him to take care of her until she died, she had become addicted to gambling and then violently beat people up. Who dared to count on him now? Sister's intention is very clear. It is better for her to sever ties with him and never interact with him again. It is better for my mother to live with her than to be killed by him in the future. Of course Qin Dazhuang knew that no one would believe him even if he said that he had corrected his evil ways and returned to his right ways. I also lied to my sister last time. This time, no matter what I say, my sister won't believe it. This cannot be blamed on Qin Dao. But it was also after that time that he learned his true life experience. No wonder his mother was more partial to his sister. Every time he took money from his family, he would quietly give it to his sister. At that time, he still couldn't understand that he was obviously the boy in the family. Shouldn't my mother treat me better? It is actually clear now why I prefer my sister instead. If it were him, he should also favor his sister. I did something like that. Even a biological mother would feel cold, let alone an adoptive mother. But no matter what, his adoptive mother did not let him go. He supported Qin's mother to greet his sister, and his brother-in-law went directly to the private room on the second floor. At first he opened a small restaurant, but the business was very prosperous. Then he looked at the second and third restaurants and made enough money to open this one, the largest one. This is a two-story building with many private rooms inside. There is a dedicated office on the second floor. Mother Qin looked at everything around her, the high-end hotel, and when her son gave instructions to the manager nodded and bowed in a respectful manner. I suddenly felt very emotional. Originally, she followed her daughter and already gave up on her son. Mainly because the son was fond of gambling and was already crazy at that time. Although she was not a good adoptive mother, she was somewhat partial to her biological daughter. But she raised Qin Dazhuang and established a family for him, and she did not let him down. The problem was that the son was no longer available. Following this son, She knew that sooner or later she would die in his hands. Only then did he make up his mind to cut off the relationship with his son. After so many years of no contact, someone from the county came back half a month ago and mentioned that he had met Qin Dazhuang in the city and said that Qin Dazhuang actually opened a very large hot pot restaurant and the business was very good. Now people go out and drive their cars. Looking at the clothes, he is now well off and has become a rich man. Although Qin's mother was living a good life with her daughter, her son-in-law didn't want to see her mother-in-law. The son-in-law didn't say anything, but the expression on his face made her feel how annoying she was as a mother-in-law living in her daughter's house. In the past, Qin's mother still had confidence. After all, she had money to help her daughter and son-in-law. At that time, the son-in-law had to be respectful to his mother-in-law for the little money she had, but now everything is spent with the son-in-law's money. The son-in-law has long been unhappy. My in-laws are always in a weird mood every time they come here, and they criticize her. She originally thought that she could only swallow her anger and make do with her daughter for the rest of her life. But I never expected that my unfilial son, who was thought to have no hope, would actually become rich. In addition, the son-in-law no longer has a job in the county town, and the factory has closed down, leaving the workers to find their own solutions. It is really tiring for my daughter to raise a large family by herself. 2 days ago, my daughter's youngest daughter was diagnosed with severe liver disease and needed surgery. It scared everyone at that time. Ask if the surgery costs at least 5,000 yuan for a family like theirs. If you can scrape together 500 or 600 yuan, that would be a big deal, let alone 5,000 yuan. Qin's mother suddenly became worried and brought her daughter and son-in-law to the city to look for her son. She has to help her daughter no matter what, and she can only hope that her adopted son will recognize her. Before coming here, Qin's mother had already thought that if Qin Dazhuang didn't recognize her and didn't give her money, she would make a fuss here. I don't believe that Qin Dazhuang can be as shameless as before now that he is rich. Besides, she still doesn't know who Qin Dazhuang was before. Even though he later disowned his relatives, she still understood Qin Dazhuang's temperament. Dazhuang, you are capable now. Qin Dazhuang couldn't help but laugh at Mother Qin's words. For so many years, he has always been considered a worthless son by his mother. Unexpectedly, now he can hear his mother say that he is capable. Perhaps he would have felt happy hearing this before, but now it seems that this feeling has weakened a lot. That kind of satisfaction and joy is not the same as when I saw my daughter and Zhang Xian. After all, in his most difficult time, although he did not recognize his relatives, at that time, his mother did not even think about how to help him get out of the quagmire, nor how to save him. Perhaps this is because I brought him in. If this matter happened to the mother's own son, how could the mother just stand by and watch, and abandon him so cruelly? At least his mother-in-law and father-in-law, even though their daughter had divorced him, still couldn't bear to see him trapped in the mud in the end. I have advised him, I have beaten him, I have scolded him, I have helped him. He thought that real parents should be parents like Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi. They are the real parents who want to do well for their children. Although what his mother did was excusable, did he really have no sympathy at all deep down in his heart? That is absolutely impossible. He is a human being and an emotional animal. Besides, what his mother did for his sister in those years was clearly seen when he knew that he was an adopted son. The deepest mother-child relationship in his heart has actually been exhausted. Now he can only say that he is very grateful to his adoptive mother for raising him and will try his best to support his adoptive mother. But it will definitely be impossible for him to obey his adoptive mother as he did before. One cannot go back to the past. No one can really do it. End of this chapter.